What's up? Yes, you are blessed by the comedy gods. Good morning, Night Moose, Michael Trebor, ACDC 5150, Dr. Nova, and whoever might be lurking in the distance. Sunday Night Live, baby. We are live. Let's get the optimum Wi-Fi. No real theme to talk about. We can talk about anything, really. This is an open stream. And hit the like button. Hit the subscription button. We got the Game 7 tomorrow night. Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver. Not really, Doc Nova. I was into, I like to watch the TV show Batman and Superman with George Reeves. Not Christopher, but George Reeves. Oh, I'm going to shake my pre-gym shake. And then I got into BMX, motocross. I had a Mongoose mountain bike. Thank you very much. And then I got into motorcycle watching. Yes, we, if you know what I'm saying. Of course, I would say probably the first athlete I ever followed was Seattle Slew, the racehorse. And then the great motorcycle rider, Bob Hurricane Hanna. And then I got into hockey, and I've never looked back since. Good evening, Chris Mack. I don't watch porn in general. I think porn to me is it's the close-ups, man. I don't want to see some girl's blown out beaver in 4K high def. No, thank you. I see Ryback is trending on Twitter. That can't be good. Well, I don't watch porn, not because, it's just such, like, say you're with a girl, you want to set the mood. I don't think an anal gangbang is going to set the mood. Um, I just not, and the odds are, if you are watching porn, the guy's dick is probably going to be bigger than yours. So, it's like asking it's like asking Tom Brady to watch the United Football League. I think that's going to get him going. Did you have groupies when you were younger being a comedian? Yeah. I have the potential for groupies now. Especially when you're playing the Comedy Store, which is arguably the number one club in the country, along with the Stand and the Cellar and the Mothership. Any girl who sees me up on the main stage knows I got something going on career-wise. You don't get on the main stage of the Comedy Store and are open micing it. So, and a lot of girls are from out of town. They're there for a girls' night out. Usually, I get Saturday nights, and hey, this guy's cute. He's got the leather pants on. Bingo, bango. What if it's girl? Well, I don't think a girl wants to watch a girl. She wants to get dick down. But so I've never really been a fan of porn, but, the group of guys who got me into comedy, they loved pornography. Um, so, everyone's got their kink. Of course, even the Scum Bunch, yes, the Scum Bunch, which was a rogue group of paid regulars at the Comedy Store. Are you the David Lee Ross of the comedy scene? I hope you meant Roth. Um, yeah, I probably am the David Lee Roth of the comedy scene. I'm not the greatest joke writer, much along the lines that David Lee Roth was not the greatest singer, but probably the greatest front man of all time. At least from the mid '70s on. I mean, am I saying I'm the greatest comic of all time? Certainly not. But you know, I think people are into my performance more than the jokes. Well, I'm talking about guys who started from, say, from when Van Halen was playing Backyard Barbecues, 77 to now. I mean, Mick Jagger certainly is in the discussion, but, David Lee Roth. I like metal a little more than I do like the Rolling Stones style music. So, uh, do you think Scotty Barron put me on stage, you fucking piece of crap, should have hit the music charts? No, I believe Scotty Barron's greatest hit was Britney Spears. I fucked her. It's a old school deep cut reference, and I'm assuming only me, Dr. Nova, and Peter Chicken Man Brennan would get. But the first time I ever set foot into the Comedy Store, I walk through the back hallway. I go up the stairs to the left, which is the original room, and Scotty Barron was on stage, potluck Sunday night, and he's got a guitar that looked like it had about three missing strings, and he's like, "Britney Spears, I fucked her." And then I walked out of the room and met Gaylord Dingler, the open mic legend. Um, so, well, that's the great thing about music and really the Earlverse in general. I don't try and force my views on people. You either, you like what you like. I prefer David Lee Roth, you know, over Mick Jagger, but Mick Jagger's awesome. Still going in his 80s, I think. Yeah, I mean David Lee Roth, that video, he had the best videos, California Girls, it's just him and 20 big titted girls in bikinis, and then that one Little Ain't Enough, it's him and 20 big titted girls working out. I mean, he knew what his fan base wanted. Um, and just a total showman. And a great band. I mean, look at he was clearly probably trying to compete with Van Halen, like, "I'm gonna show you guys." And, Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan on bass, the Prince of Pound, Greg Bisonet on drums. And then I believe when, Billy Sheehan left, he had Matt Bisonet on bass, a very accomplished bass player himself. So, well, Drunken Donuts, I'm not telling you you're Rick Ocasek. I mean, I love the Cars, but, and I've only seen, Rick Ocasek once, um, because, I saw them at the Palladium, I wanna say maybe 2013 or something, um, when the Cars 4 of the 5 surviving members, minus Benjamin Orr, did a sold-out show at the Palladium, and, it was pretty awesome, but I can tell you Rick Ocasek did not move 2 inches to the left or right, nor did the other band members. Maybe Elliot Easton a little bit, but, one thing I did like about the Cars is they were so tight musically that if you close your eyes, you think you were listening to the record. Like, they're very good in that regard. And Benjamin Orr's bass parts were programmed in by Greg Hawkes on the keys. So they did not get a replacement bass player. Now, when the new Cars played, and that was Todd Rundgren on vocals, and I thought he was the perfect blend of Orr and Okasik's vocals. They had his longtime bass player, Kasim Sultan, on bass, Greg Hawkes on keyboards, Elliot Easton on guitar, and the great Prairie Prince from the Tubes. So it was like a real nice combo. Um, oh, that's great, Jeffrey. I mean, he's like the Van Halen of keyboards, man. And him and Elliot Easton had a great synchronicity, um, where it was almost like having a second guitar player. Yeah, Freddie Mercury, I never got to see him. I mean, I got to see him on TV a few times live while he was alive. He just had an amazing presence, something you just can't teach. Best way to help trim down the midsection spare tire. Well, here's the thing, most people think sit-ups is the key to that, but sit-ups really only do the only thing sit-ups do is they build the muscle under the fat. They don't get rid of the fat. So, that's cardio and nutrition, you know. You know, if you're eating a bowl of spaghetti right before you go to sleep at night, that just stays in your stomach. And all those carbs just get turned into fat, because you're not burning the calories. You can eat a bowl of spaghetti, um, at noon, and you're going to be up for the next probably 12 hours. And so, those calories get burned. So, a lot of it's just when you're eating and obviously what you're eating. Um, so I hope that answers your question. Well, I mean, all five guys in the cars they were a great team. Like, even David Robinson um, on drums was the perfect drummer for the cars. Some guys are just the perfect drummer or the perfect musician for the band they're in. Like Bobby Blotzer, the drummer from Rat. Outside of Rat, he's not really done much. But in Rat, and I've seen Rat play with Greg D'Angelo on drums, the drummer from Black and Blue on drums, Scott Coogan on drums for Rat. And they're all very accomplished drummers, but Blotzer is, you just know it's Blotzer on drums. Same thing with Warren DeMartini on guitar. Some guys are really only good in the band that they're known for. But Warren DeMartini is so talented as a guitar player. Um, you know, like he was in Whitesnake for a summer tour and he held his own. I saw him at a Zappa tribute show in Beverly Hills. He was the best one. Like he was the most faithful to the Zappa catalog. And you had some musicians there. You had, Dweezil Zappa. You had Tal Wilkenfeld on bass, who played with Jeff Beck when she was like 16. Like this was a musician's show for musicians. Good evening, Spurg Snake. Uh, yeah, I mean, like if you put David Robinson, the Cars drummer, and say Kiss, I don't know if that would work. But then you have a guy like the drummer in Kiss, Eric Singer. You could put him in any band and he'd be good for it. I mean, he was like the perfect blend of Peter Criss and Eric Carr. Um, so I guess it depends what kind of music they're playing. I mean, Eric Singer from Kiss can play with Brian May, or he could play with Stephen Pearcy's solo band, and you would not go, this is not working. Some guys are just multi functional, I guess you would say, music wise. Whereas when you watch Stephen Pearcy play without Warren DeMartini, It's not Warren D. Martini. It's just he has a tone about his guitar that very few people have. Yes, firm handshakes all around. Hit the like button too. Forget the handshakes. Hit the like button, pretty please. It helps the algorithm. Yeah, I mean, Kenny Wayne Shepherd has been around a very long time. He's like, he's like Tall Wilkenfeld, where, she's only, I think, like 32 or something, but I mean, she's been playing high profile gigs for literally half of her life. So she seems older, but she's only, I think, like 32. I mean, she played with Jeff Beck at 16, and it wasn't just, I want a female bass player to look cool. It's like she could outplay any bass player that Jeff Beck could get the gig for. So, what up, William Zoom? Yes, yes, you got that right. ACDC, boing. We got all the usual suspects in the stream. EZC321. I'm curious about that name. Richard K. I mean, we got some old school regulars in here. Now, I am a paid regular at the Comedy Store, but you guys are unpaid regulars of the Earlverse. Well, I gotta be honest with you, I think Friday might be my new flagship. I mean, Friday, we set all kinds of financial records. I believe $219. So thank you very much to the Friday chat. Um, I think Sunday night, my all-time number wise best was a Sunday night stream where I believe we had 70 people in the stream, which is a lot for me. And I think we ended up with about 120 likes. I've never come anywhere near that number of 120 likes. I mean, usually I seem to end up with about 50 likes now, 40 to 50 likes, which, hey, I'll take it. So, my vision for the Earlverse stream is starting to take place where people hardly bring up the Dabbleverse anymore. Um, and we're talking more hockey, fitness, working out, um, pro wrestling, of course, my wacky stories and whatnot. So, which is really what I want it to be. I want this stream to be an alternative to basically the Dabbleverse, which is essentially an online roast battle between 10 or so podcasts. And ever been to a midget wrestling show? Are they worthwhile? There are some. I think there was one just at the Whiskey. I forget what it was called, but it was like the bigger, pardon the pun, it was like the WWE of midget wrestling. There is one league in particular that all the names go to. I don't really have a lot of interest in that, to be frank. But so no, I've never been to a midget wrestling show. I've never actually seen a midget wrestler. The things I go to, XPW, they don't have little people wrestling. GCW doesn't, to my knowledge, and obviously WCW. I went to one show, I think, out here, ironically enough. Um, I don't believe they had it. WWE. I mean, I guess they have Hornswoggle. Um, I'm trying to think of what else. So yeah, I've never really seen that before. I'm not against it, but I just don't think it's my thing. I could just know already I wouldn't like it. Yeah, and I'm sober, so like, and I shouldn't even say I'm sober. I've never had a drink before because I think when sometimes I tell people I'm sober, they're like, "Oh, how long?" I'm like, "55 years, baby doll." So, I like my wrestling, I guess, regular sized wrestlers, Kenny Omega. And, last night I watched Collision. Great match between Will Ospreay, the Billy Goat, and Shane Taylor. Danielson was in a trios match against with FTR against Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk Monster, and the the Righteous, uh, Dutch, and I forget the other guy's name. But good man. I like the Righteous. They're kind of a hidden gym tag team. They're kind of a job tag team, which is too bad because I do like both guys' characters. But you can only have one champion, I guess. What up, John Smith? Good evening. Did people ever give you shit for not doing drugs and drinking? I mean, I wouldn't say they give me shit, but a lot of my friends in comedy were like, "Dude, you're so funny naturally. If you were just a little high, I could it'd be interesting to see you just like a little high." And I will say the one time I did a weed dispenser, I've done a weed dispensary show like twice. Now the first time was in the Valley in like North Hollywood, and they were like smoking wax. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's like a stronger high. And about halfway through my set, I was pretty zoinked. Like I was like, "Ugh." And then I did a dispensary gig where I was the headliner, so I had to be on stage for like 45 minutes. And I remember me and my girlfriend at the time and two friends went to dinner afterwards, and I definitely had the munchies. Like I was like never been that hungry in my life. So dabs, yeah. I mean, it was like I remember that first show where they were doing wax or dabs or whatever it's called. Um, like there was a guy in the front row literally doing it, but drooling. Like I was like, and I'm trying to get this guy to laugh. So I don't do a lot of dispensary shows, but I'm not like against it either. Um, so, but I'm my personality is I'm pretty funny stone cold sober, so I don't get too much shit for not doing drugs. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't. I just remember the smell, and it was a small room too. I mean, I would say this gig was probably about the size of my living room, so that it really and the ventilation was pretty poor from my memory, but it was really just, whereas the big dispensary gig in Palm Springs, it's gotta be the world's biggest dispensary. I mean, it was not an arena-sized room, but it was like a small theater-sized room. Like, there were probably 100 or so people watching, and they were all spread out, and they must have had hundreds of bongs and edibles, and, like, it was like a Costco of weed. Um, and the ceilings were relatively high. I'd say the ceilings were 40 to 50 feet high. So, it didn't just permeate at your nose level like the first gig, and I know there's a weed gig in Toronto that even big name comics do it. But I don't avoid weed gigs, but I don't seek them out either. Yeah, I mean, but I don't hate on people who smoke weed, it's fine. They should have had food trucks lined outside. That's a great business idea. And there used to be a dispensary on Melrose that was really hot for a while in the pandemic, maybe from like 2019 to 2021, called Cookies, and they had two or three food trucks right across the street, and business was booming. Um, no, no, I have no children that I don't know of. I don't just go in dry. Um, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there was one girl in Vancouver, but we won't get into that. Um, but I'm pretty sure she would track me down by now. Burrito joints next to bars make. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm surprised a food truck doesn't post up outside the Comedy Store on a Saturday night. You know how much money that would fucking make? Now parking's a bitch on Sunset, but, um, like, the main room crowd leaving, or the original room too. Yeah, I mean, it's all about the idea of, like, hey, just and I think it depends on the neighborhood, at least in Los Angeles, because a lot of dispensaries aren't in the greatest neighborhoods, so I don't think, food trucks wanna set up and get robbed. Um, yeah, I mean, anything with girls in bikinis is gonna sell well. Oh, well, I'll be in Vegas in 2 weeks. No, I eat anything. Food Truck Diaries starring Brendan Schaub. Listen, I mean, no idea is too stupid. Trust me on that one. Uh, I mean, food trucks, I could see in Vegas, like, an ice cream truck doing well because it's so hot there. I know taco trucks are very popular in certain, parts of Los Angeles. So, no, I'm my Hackmania trip's gonna be real in and out. I'll probably, find a gym to go to in the daytime. I don't even know if I'm staying all 3 days. That's a lot for me to stay in Vegas, and I know Sunday's a poker tournament, which I have no interest in. I don't, gamble with the cards and whatnot, so, um, Friday night, I'm looking forward to the most. The Comedy Store's in a great area. So it's prime West Hollywood on Sunset, share stations right down the street. A high-end sushi restaurant called Katana, literally attached to the Comedy Store. Got a real nice hotel, the Andaz Hotel, which is the formerly known as the Rock and Roll Hyatt, the Riot Hyatt. Um, and you're right, Dr. Nova, that is not my life anymore. I'm straight edge. I mean food trucks, at least in LA, seem to be kind of a rogue operation, but I have seen some food trucks with a health code rating, like A, B, C, um, so I think I don't know who would be in charge of that. I guess the food board of food, whatever it's called, wanna make sure people aren't getting salmonella. Uh, so, there's a really good food truck, in Culver City that's east of a homeless overpass. And I used to do a comedy show that's west of the homeless overpass, and so we'd all do the comedy show, walk through the homeless encampment where there were, like, possum-sized rats just running around, darting in and out of the tents, and then you'd get to the food truck where it had an A rating. So, um well, I don't know. Not the food trucks out here, Sean. The food trucks out here, like, you can tell they're the meat and whatnot is being cooked in the truck. So well, I think they liked this one particular food truck by the overpass or underpass. There was a very popular gas station there right off the freeway. So I think people, if you didn't want to eat like a gas station sandwich, hey, let's have a quesadilla before we hit the road again. And then they knew the comics would be there a lot, because it's pretty affordable. I think a quesadilla was like 10 bucks. Can the homeless situation be cured in LA? I don't think so, man. There's just too many of them. Um, like I live in West Hollywood and we're like ground zero of the homeless in this area because just to the west of us is Beverly Hills. And if you ever go to Beverly Hills, you'll notice there ain't no fucking homeless there. They don't fuck around. Like, they don't play with the homeless. They kick them east. So they come to West Hollywood. And to the east of me is like the Fairfax, Santa Monica, Russian, Hasidic an Orthodox Jew community, and they don't really fuck around either, so they kick them west. So West Hollywood's literally in a homeless sandwich. And I'm not anti-homeless or anything, but it just sucks because we're caught in the middle, and with the bars and all the high-end restaurants, homeless people, they're not stupid. They know there's money here. Like in my area, at the end of my street, there's a really popular gay bar to my left, and probably three or four, not gay bars, but gay clubs that are constantly full. And so the homeless know, hey, man, there's a lot of money around here. Um, so there are some Hasidic Jews to the left of me. It's the Fairfax Russian area. So, Fairfax High, around that area, if you're familiar with LA. Um, we should let a couple more in with you. No, I'm good. I'm good. Now, tonight I was going to do the OJ stream, but I have to go to a going away party for a friend who's moving to San Diego. So I'm planning on next Sunday night um, doing the OJ crawl from the back alley where he allegedly parked his car to Nicole's condo, which is the front part. And then we'll walk all the way up to Rockingham. Now, I believe they've um, torn down OJ's house, so it will not look like it did back in the day. Um, so, well, I mean, Chris, you're not wrong there. And Sean, we add one of the ideas that was being mentioned for my special was renting a Shark Tank and putting me in the middle of Skid Row doing comedy to homeless people. But that that seemed like it would cost a lot of money to rent a Shark Tank. Yes, I mean Cato probably would do it. He's got nothing going on. Um, well, I don't think he stole her from Crosby. I think that um, Crosby and Tawny had stopped dating, but they were very good friends. I mean, they were first loves, so they were always going to be friends. And then I believe Tawny, according to her, OJ would like fly her out to Hawaii or whatever when he was there with Nicole and put her up like two rooms above them, and he'd sneak off. Hey, I'll be right back. Maybe we'll get some ice. Um, so you know, I mean, that's if you believe Tawny's story, which I do. That sounds like something OJ would have done. You got to figure at that point, OJ probably thought he was um, untouchable and could do anything. And he was probably right. I mean, literally, he killed two people, and nothing really happened to him. Uh, what's at Ron's restaurant now? I believe it's still a restaurant. I don't know if it's called Mezzaluna. I would interview Fred Goldman. I do a really good job too. It would not be funny. Like I wouldn't be doing shtick with Fred Goldman. I mean, think about the Goldman family, like what they had to go through, and probably still do. I mean, they never really got justice. Now, yes, they won the civil case, but they never got any money from OJ that I know of. OJ probably had a giant hog. He probably did. He looked like a big guy, big hands, size 13 Bruno Mollies. That's no joke. I mean, I try not to think about that. Drunken Donuts. Yeah, I mean, I love how Karen Bass is the mayor of LA, and she never really took a stance on um, homeless and the crime that goes along with it until one night her house was broken into, and she's like, "Oh, we gotta come up with something." Um, I mean, I don't know what you can do. I mean, there's so many of them. Like I've always thought when I drive to Vegas or Palm Springs and you see these gigantic patches of land with nothing on them. It's not even farming land. It's just giant, giant lands. uh, parcels that why not build like a super-sized homeless center, like a Costco-sized building where you feed them, you train them, they get medical care, and you release them back into society where they have at least some job skills. Now, some of them are, it's mental illness, so unless they get the health care, doesn't matter where you put them, they're gonna fucking be shitting on the sidewalk. I mean, I've literally seen caravan trucks drop off homeless in my neighborhood because you can see the hospital, the bracelet, and they just drop them off. And I'm like, all right, see you later. And they got no money, and of course they're gonna wander around the neighborhood. They see BMWs parked everywhere, and oh man, I'm either gonna steal something or whatever. And now, the big corporations like Rite Aid and CVS, they're moving town. I mean, I think I told this story on a stream the other night that I was in Rite Aid getting my energy drinks for the next day, and all of a sudden, this homeless Mexican dude just starts like, got some books here I'll use. Pretend these books are beer cans. He's like in the refrigerator going this, and he's got all these beers like this. And I thought he just didn't want to get a cart, and he just walks out like this. And I'm in line paying for my shit, and the guy behind the counter's like, "We can't do anything. It's company policy to not go after them." I'm like, "Why not?" He's like, "Well, if they get hurt or I get hurt, they're not going to pay for my medical. And if they get hurt, they can sue the corporation. So we're literally told to just try and inventory as best we can what they just took, and you write it off as a loss." SXFD7, $1.99. Enjoy the Hackamania rats. Hello. That's your 10th super chat on a live stream. I mean, I plan on going to Hackamania to do the stand-up show, win Earl Skakel's money, maybe do the karaoke, and who knows? I might leave after the first night. Because I really don't have a lot of interest in doing all the podcasts that are just going to be Dabbleverse making fun of Ray or whatever, Kevin, Chad. Like, nah, I'm good on that. So I might be a one and done scenario there. I mean, if I get a spot at the Comedy Store on Saturday night, that's $500, man. I'm not going to miss out on that to do, who are these podcasts for free. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Did you hear Red Lobster's filing for bankruptcy? Well, yeah, it's really not. When you do these all-you-can-eat fucking deals, that's funny. Actually, I might steal that Drunken Donuts if you don't mind. So, well, I mean, it's just the problem is like there are some people who are just down on their luck. Like if I lost all my money for whatever reason and I had to live on the streets, I'd be fairly coherent and go, okay, this is what I got to do to get a job. I got to take a minimum wage job and working at a gas station or something. You build up, you move on to the next level. But there's some people out there who are mentally ill and like they don't think, what do I got to do to get back into society? They're like, I want fucking food right now. Hey, there's a liquor store. I'm going to rob a sandwich. It's all right, Spurg Snake. Do you think that Stuttering John is a useless human being? See, we don't really do the Dabbleverse talking here, Drunken Donuts. I don't know Stuttering John. I've done one show with him. That's my only interaction with him. So I really have nothing to say about the guy. I mean, I will say the one show I was on with him, and I've told most of you, I think we have some new people in here, so I'll repeat the story. I was on a Robert Schimmel tribute show. at the Comedy Store, and it was me, Stuttering John, Tony Hinchcliffe, Sam Tripoli, Adam Hunter, Carmen Morales, Gabriel Killian. So 90% of the show was um, paid regulars, Sam Tripoli as well. So, and he was nice to me. I was like, "Hey, dude, what's up? Hey, I enjoyed that song and the video you had Gene Simmons in it." And then he gave me a tag for a joke that wasn't really that good, but like I got no beef with the guy, to be honest. Uh, well, I mean, I think that um, I'd rather instead of giving them $5 to eat, which they're not going to use for food, they're going to drink or buy weed or whatever. Uh, I'd rather pay more in taxes and build these super center, one stop. If you built a super center Walmart, super Walmart sized building off the 15 and you ship them all there and you clean them, you feed them, you train them in basic job skills. The ones that don't have mental illness, you can put them back into society and it's going to be good for us all. It's going to be good for them. It's going to be good for us. So I don't have to see one of them shitting outside my condo. Now, the ones who do have mental illness, and believe me, there's a lot. I mean, I see, I'm going to walk to the gym after this. I guarantee you, I'm going to see someone talking to themselves in the bushes covered in their own doo doo. That sending that guy to a super Walmart sized help center ain't going to help. You have to get him in a hospital, and now the catch 22 or whatever you want to call it is who pays for it? Do I pay for it? And via extra taxes? Does the government pay for it and I don't get the bill? That's where I think the problem is. Yeah, it's like a super homeless halfway house. Um, and you have to train them. A lot of them have no job skills. So you even when you get them fixed and clean and sober, or relatively clean and sober, you send them out to the streets again. You think they're going to fill out an application at Abercrombie and Finch and get hired? There's that too, William Zoom. I mean, I personally would like to spend a little less money in the Ukraine and uh, you know all the Israel, and I'm Jewish and I'm saying this. And how about spending some money in America? Like I know it's not necessarily that simple of an issue, but I pay my taxes, man, and I got to drive around West Hollywood and Hollywood and Los Angeles on streets that I feel like I'm driving on Edward James Olmos' face. How about fix that shit? So, I mean, once again, I realize that that is a simplistic view of the world we live in, but I'd like to fix America too. We can't just be all things to all countries. How come we're the ones sending U.S. soldiers out to everywhere? How about putting some of that money at least into homeless and job training and like not all of it, but just a little bit. I mean, I understand we're helping Ukraine so Russia doesn't fucking take over that part of the world, but they pretty much already have. I'm not saying we leave Ukraine in the dust, but like, how about fixing America? Helping the people who actually pay taxes in this fucking country. Um, oh, I don't know, probably because 'cause they're just out of the way and, yeah, you're right on that, Williams. Uh, I mean, it really is a grift. People talk about grifting in the Dabbleverse or in podcasting or streaming, like, y you know, I mean, that's the one good thing. I mean, Trump is a horrible person personally, but, like, I do like how he held other countries accountable, saying, "Hey, you're gonna pay your share too, or guess what? We're not gonna help you." And what do you know? Those countries started paying up. Like, I know we're the richest country in the world, but, like, how about improving our country too? Well, I mean, I know it's not just as easy as building a supersized building, off the 10 or 15 on your way to Vegas, but, like, that's the government has to own that land, so, um, and you staff it with doctors and not fitness trainers. I don't think a homeless person cares about abs, but, you get them physically and mentally prepared for the real world. I mean, West Hollywood, like I said, when I end this stream and I start walking on the way to the gym, I'm gonna run into at least 10 homeless people who have no fucking clue what's going on in the world. They're just out there and they rely on people like me leaving a restaurant, "Hey, here's my half-eaten burger," and then they figure it out the next day. And then the next day comes and they don't figure it out, and then, it spirals and, they I mean, literally West Hollywood at night, when I have Lois and I walk her at 2, 3, 4 in the morning after a comedy show, it's like the fucking night of the living dead out there. Uh, well, I am the furthest thing from racist, but, like, you know, I think both parties are full of it. Uh, well, I mean, listen, there's a lot of things I don't like about Trump, but I will say I did like how he was a bit of a wild card, and, like, I think he went to NATO and said, "No, the days of US paying for everything, that shit's over." It's you're gonna pay your fair share or we're gonna pull out our support. Um, yeah, I mean, it really especially in LA, I mean, I went to a comedy festival in San Francisco, man, and, I was in a really nice hotel. I mean, this was like a Four Seasons level hotel, and I've told this story before, but I walk out, there's a guy shitting in the middle of a very busy intersection. Clearly, this guy's unhinged. I go to 7-Eleven to get an energy drink. Guy holds the door open for me. He's literally got a heroin needle in his arm, blood spurting out, like, and it's the Wild West in Frisco. So, and that's on Pelosi and Newsom. That's their neck of the woods. Oh, 100%. I think both parties are full of shit. Um, so, that's why I don't really get behind any candidate. I mean, pick your poison with Trump or Biden. I mean, they're really the same person, in terms of backdoor deals and scams and grifting and, you know, I mean, so, and then Kennedy's no better. I'm not saying that because he didn't put me on his comedy show, but, I'm just saying, like, he's in pockets with probably tech people and, you know, I mean, San Francisco's out of control. I mean, this was I think 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 2019, so maybe 5 years ago, and I was blown away. But I mean, AC/DC, I mean, like, they're both in bed with shitty people, Trump's in bed with Russia and China, Biden's in bed with Ukraine and all other kinds of fucking scummy people, so, um, you know, it's like picking a rotten apple or a rotten banana. Now, Trump's financial policies line up better for me. So that's why I voted for him in, what was it, 2020, but that didn't help. So, well, I mean, I was just blown away. 100% Drunken Donuts. That might be the first thing you've ever said I agree with you on. I think both parties are full of it. Um, I mean, I'm out here in LA and, you've got Gavin Newsom as our governor. This state's in trouble, man, and he wants to run the country. And the thing with Newsom is, California, as you guys all know, is a Democratic state. It really is. You've got most mayors are Democrats. Um, you know, the House and Senate Democrats, Democratic controlled. So there's no excuse if you are a Democratic governor of a state that's probably 80% Democratic and you still can't get shit done. That's on you, man. I mean, Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, she's a Democrat. Pelosi in Frisco, Democrat. And just for my one weekend in Frisco, man, that place is fucking dangerous. You talk about The Wire. It's like The Wire meets Apocalypse Now after that field got napalmed. Um, I mean, I walked from my hotel to the Bill Graham Auditorium, which is where the show I was on, was, and man, I didn't feel safe. And I'm a pretty big dude, like, I can handle myself, but, um, you know, uh, I mean, Arnold was, I think it was more for show than anything else, Arnold's almost like Tyler, the Creator. I think he gets bored. "Oh, I made all these hit movies. Ah, fuck it, I'll run for governor." Um, so, well, I'm not sure about Chicago. I mean, RFK Jr. is, it's just because he looks like a Backstreet Boy compared to Trump and Biden. But, you know, I can't speak to Chicago. I mean, I've only been there once. I will say I was walking around with my girlfriend at the time. We were on our way to see Jerry Springer. And this gigantic black dude comes out and goes, "Hey, man, you want your shoes washed?" I'm like, "Sure." And I'm like, "How much?" He's like, $20. So he puts like dish soap on my shoes, wipes them off with a towel, and I give him $20. He's like, $20 each. And this guy was a big dude, man. And then I had to tip him. So I paid $50 for some hand soap on my shoes. Um, Arnold believed he was going to be president. Well, he could be president because of the rules. I mean, that's the one rule, like, you're not going to get away from. He's not a natural citizen, so he was never going to be president. But he was probably so cocky, he probably thought, "I'll figure a way around that." I have not heard of that short story. I mean, he probably did think that. Did Bushman rip you off? Not to my knowledge. I certainly was never in a position to want to give the Bushman money. No, thank you. Um, so that's why you don't talk to who, William Zoom? The politicians? Um, I mean, in West Hollywood politics is just as insane. I mean, West Hollywood's only a 1.9 square mile city, and it's overcrowded, it's overdeveloped, the crime's through the roof. Um, it's the the budgeting for the city is completely gone because we've got right now 10 building projects that have taken 5 years to, I guess they do it in 5-year terms. If you ever come to West Hollywood on Doheny and Santa Monica, there's like a 400,000 square foot hole dug in the ground on one of the biggest intersections in the world, and it's been 5 years since they've touched it because the permits and whatnot, and the politics, the city politics have grinded that project to a halt. And if you go up and down Santa Monica Boulevard, there's skeletons of hotels that were supposed to be built that aren't. So I mean, not only do I live it in the state I'm in, but in the city I'm in, and in a 1.9 square mile city, man, like, it's no joke. I mean, it's brutal. So, such is life. Well, this has been a fun, uplifting Earlverse. Yeah, I mean, the high speed rail, I think they were trying to do something from San Francisco to Vegas. They've literally spent billions of dollars on it. Billions with a B. And um I don't think they built 10% of the fucking thing. Did I watch Bosch Legacy? I watched, I think, the first season. Right now I'm not really using any of the streaming services. I believe that's on Amazon, right? I mean, I liked it, but why not just keep it at Bosch? Um, Although I am excited. I hear Michael Connolly, the creator of the Bosch series, is doing a documentary, from what I understand, on Eddie Nash. So, yeah, I mean, and the electric thing is brutal out here. Like, I went with the manager of the Comedy Store to see the Steelers play in Vegas, and he has a very nice Tesla. It's a pain in the ass, man. I mean, we had to stop, I think, 3 to 4 times each trip, and, of course, we left after the game. It was Sunday Night Football, so, you know, we're in these pretty dark charging stations at, like, 3 or 4 in the morning, and, it's 20 minutes to 40 minutes, and depending on how much of a charge you need, and it was like, "This sucks. I'd rather pay the high gas prices." Um, well, I just, I did pitch my idea for a Eddie Nash documentary to several streaming services, and they were all like, "Hey, man, this is gonna have a quadruple X rating." Um, so I think they're a little scared off of the subject matter. Like, you thought Tiger King was wild, an Eddie Nash doc would be wonkers. Um, okay, I mean, I have not seen Bosch Legacy on Freevee. Um, well, Pots and Pans, we're nearing the end of the stream, so I don't mind a change in pace here to end on the stream. Um, yes, Michael Connolly is apparently working on an Eddie Nash documentary. Don't mean to change the subject. Hey, I got a question for you. Was George Lynch ever in Rat? He was not. Basically, Rat started in San Diego under the pseudonym Mickey Rat. But I guess there was a cartoon character named Mickey Rat. So Piercy just changed it to Rat. And in that era, of course, there was some, it's hard to say who was in the first version of Rat. I mean, it was Piercy, and then I think Chris Hagar was one of the guitar players, and then Robin Crosby, and then I believe Hagar left. That's Chris Hagar, not Sammy, and Jakey Lee came in. So for a while, the guitar um, duo was, I believe, for a short period, Robin Crosby and Jakey Lee, and then I think Jakey Lee left for, I believe, the Ozzy gig, and then, or no, he might have left for Rough Cut, and then he got the Ozzy gig. So, and that's when DeMartini came in, and so George Lynch was never in Rat. George Lynch was almost in Ozzy. I believe Ozzy Osbourne wanted George Lynch to take over for Brad Gillis, who took over for Randy Rhoads. Um, but someone in the Ozzy camp was like, I think Jakey Lee's a better fit. And they were probably right. And then George Lynch got into Dawkins, so you know. Well, I mean, that's on a tribute record, I think you're, seeing, they do, I think it was Cleopatra Records would do these tribute records, and they'd get all the '80s guys, Piercy, Jakey Lee, Lynch, and, pretty much anyone who was around LA, and they would do, I think there was a Rod Stewart tribute record with a bunch of metal guys on it. George Lynch was on that Round and Round cover with Piercy, but it was a one-off from my, knowledge. Yeah, it was something like that, William. Either there was a character named Mickey Rat, or, there was some copyright infringement, situation, uh, and so I think Piercy was like, "Well, I'll just change it to Rat," with 2 T's. Um, I thought Mickey Rat, oh, sorry, if I had a time machine, I'd go back to check on Eddie Nash's party. I need to see that kind of debauchery just for research purposes. Well, I went to a party once. It wasn't an Eddie Nash party. It was a party in the mid to late, probably late '80s. I don't even think I was 21 yet. At Heidi Fleiss's lawyer's house, Paul Fegan. If you're in the LA area, you'll know him as Fig. And he drove around in a purple Stutz, and he would have these wild parties, and you'd see guys like Bill Gazzari there, and I even when I was in my 20s, I was like, "There's a lot of young girls here, like a lot of young girls." So, that's the closest I got to an Eddie Nash level party. I think, from what if you believe depending on who you believe AC/DC, Jakey Lee was kinda forced to hand over his publishing, so he did not make a lot of money, unfortunately. Um, I mean, I liked, Van Halen with Hagar. I mean, I think they were legendary with Roth, but very good with Hagar, and I think a lot of the Hagar albums outsold the Roth albums. Um, yes, we are in overtime officially, so we'll go for maybe a minute or two more, just so I can finish up answering the questions. Yeah, well, yeah, probably right on that SC. Well, but it was funny because you didn't see a lot of Stutzes in LA, and Figs was purple, and he'd always be roaming around the Sunset Strip with a cat on his shoulder. And one time on Doheny and Sunset, we're stopped at the light, and he pulls up next to me. He looks at me and he just kind of gives me "What's up?" I'm like, "Where's the pussy, Paul?" And he's like, "In my face, where it should be." And then he sped off. I never saw Andy Kaufman. I don't recall ever seeing any famous people, to be honest with you. It's just a lot of horned up '80s metal dudes, and that's all. So, guys, this is the Sunday Night Earlverse. We are over and out, and I will do this tomorrow at 6 p.m. Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm not that old. I didn't see Charlie Chaplin. Uh, Subject earlier, homeless taxes. The Pentagon cannot account for $35 trillion. They can't find it. Not what they spent, what they lost. Yeah, I mean, that's shit like, but who do you blame on that? Blame the Republicans, you blame the Democrats, you blame both. Sorry, Ambrose. My bad, my bad. But yeah, I mean, I can't, I think we've hit a lot of serious subjects. But before you guys leave, hit the like button. Thank you very much. Let me thank my super chatter today. I don't care if it's 50 people or one people. I like to thank them just the same. SXFD7, thank you very much. I don't care if it's $1.99, 50, 100. I appreciate them all the same because I realize that we've talked a lot about money in this stream tonight. I'm humbled and honored to get any amount from my fans, and I hope that you, SXFD7, have felt that this stream was worth it to you. Um, I mean, who knows where the money is? It's not like they give us a detailed report at the end of the day. All of U.S. government's a fucking scam, and that's both parties and the independents. And I mean, hey, is Kevin Abosh the real deal? I don't know who that is, bro. Do you think it's possible a solar flare will knock out the electrical grid? I mean, listen, anything's possible. What is this turning into the Art Bell show? Uh, Dr. Nova, I have no idea what that means. Well, Boulder Johnny, you donated last night. I appreciate that. Friday night's stream was out of control. Should I go see Chad Zumach in Phoenix this weekend? Well, I mean, it's Sunday night at 6 o'clock. You probably should move on that if you're going to do it. Um, I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but clock is ticking. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen Chad do stand up, to be honest with you. So I uh like people think I'm lying when I say that, and I don't want to say anything bad. I've never seen Ray do stand up. I've never seen Chad do stand up. I think me and Melton were on a show, a Death Squad show, one of Red Band shows at the Ice House. I recall talking to him for a minute, but I didn't watch his stand up. I've never seen Pat Dixon do stand up, so I'm going into Hackamania blind, baby dolls. But it should be fun. I'm not going to get involved in any of the Dabbleverse drama. And I know a lot of people are like, well, if you don't want to be involved in the drama, how come you're doing basically what is a dabble versus comedy festival? I'm a comic. I go where the shows are. I follow the stank, you know? So that's it, guys. Ambrose, I'm sorry you got to the party late, but we've hit all of the topics that I wanted to hit. Dude, call your special casual. Well, a lot of people are good on podcasts and not to stand up. I can't, like I said, I can't speak to Chad specifically, but I see that a lot in the world of comedy right now, where comics are getting spots they probably don't deserve because they're on a popular podcast. But the problem with that is that you know, when you're on stage alone, doesn't really matter whether it be the Comedy Store or, um, wherever, it's different than being on a popular podcast where, you know, you don't have um, a podcast host to help you out. You don't have a guest to help you out. You got 100, 2, 3, or 400 strangers looking at you going like, make me laugh, monkey man, chop, chop. And you got to, that's where a lot of people who are popular on podcasts kind of fail in stand up. Like if I'm on your podcast and we have good chemistry, it's going to be a good podcast because we're good going back and forth. We're joking around. You've got someone to play off of. I've got someone to play off of. But, if you're on stage in the main room on a Saturday night at the Comedy Store and you got 400 people who've paid for 2 drinks, they paid $40 to get in, they paid probably $20 to park, probably dinner beforehand. Now, that's not necessarily on the comic or the Comedy Store, but if you're on a date on a Saturday night and you do dinner beforehand, that kind of counts as part of the package. So you're spending easily $150 to $200. So you're not going to help the comic on stage. You're like, hey, I ain't part of the solution. You do your act and make me laugh, or I'm never coming back here again. Um, Pots and pans. My condo might be in a later, bro. Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for coming in. My condo might be haunted. I think the 2 guys who owned my condo, they were a partner. I believe both of them died of AIDS. So, you know, mm, I don't. I've only had a ghost experience one time in my condo, and that was maybe about a year ago when I was sleeping. I think I took an afternoon nap. I was jolted awake, and there was a figure at the bottom of my bed standing up. And I don't remember if it was a boy or a girl, but I thought maybe my ex-girlfriend had come in and surprised me or something. That's the only time I've ever experienced like an outer world um, event, I guess you'd call it. Um, I mean, I've never seen Joe stand up. As crazy as that is, you think, wait a minute, you guys are both paid regulars at the store. You've never seen him do stand up. I don't watch stand up. I really don't. Hey, whatever it takes, Boulder Johnny. I mean, at this point, I'm down for anything. Hello. All right, you guys. We'll do an Earlverse tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday night. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Watching Sonny Landham in Best of the Best 2 right now, a classic actor, if there ever was one. He was good in that. I think that might have been his last film role, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Dave Lee. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wish my dick was that big. We'll end on that.